r/AskReddit. Teachers of Reddit, what is the most embarrassing reason you called a child's parents for? It wasn't embarrassing, it was funny, but in response to the question, what comes in pairs? Her son, with total sincerity and enthusiasm said, testicles. I emailed to let them know he was a little upset that I didn't write down his suggestion on the board. His mom said she printed the email and planned to pull it out again on some Thanksgiving to read aloud when he was a teenager. Destruction 100. Man, I feel bad for that guy in the future. I had to call a single dad to inform him that his 6-year-old son perfectly described an explicit porn scene to his friends. This was before internet porn, so the kid must have found daddy's special movies. My mama was a kindergarten teacher and had to call a little boy's mom for playing with his wong under the table and getting the girls to look under the table. Later on they found out that the kid's dad got arrested for showing his own wong to strange women in Walmart dressing rooms. Like father like son, I guess. Hope he doesn't grow up to be like him. This happened to a colleague when I worked in elementary school. A kindergartner had asked at the beginning of gym class to go to the bathroom. He intentionally didn't wipe himself. When he came back to the gym, he backed up so that his ass was right in line with another kid's face who was sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor, dropped his pants, and put his shitty ass on that poor kid's face. My colleague had to escort them both to the office and call in a district interpreter to call the unfortunate child's parents and tell them that their son might have hepatitis. This reminded me of a time in middle school. My friend was wrestling with another kid, then suddenly the kid's brother ran up and pinned my friend down. Then the kid dropped his shorts and scraped his bare asshole across my friend's teeth. That is absolutely disgusting. And probably a taste hell never forget. Actually had a parent call me and apologize. Threw a kid out of class for licking highlighters. Gave him a warning, took the highlighters away, somehow he got another one and did it again. Told him to go to detention. He protested, but eventually went. Got a call that night on my personal phone. I have no idea how mom got my number, the mom profusely apologizing and straight up admitting that her son was being an idiot. Then she put him on the phone and made him apologize too. It was really hard not to laugh, because you could tell this kid had been getting reamed out by his parents over the incident and was not interested in talking to me. The kid was like 15. Teaching was a fun time in my life. Not sure if I'll go back, but it sure was an adventure. Wait, what? He was 15? ? My friend recently asked me for my trash while finishing my lunch during English, and then ate the paper straw and napkin. I thought he was joking when he said he'd do it. We are seniors. Still less weird than highlighters. Oh, he also swallowed a penny at 8, which I still insist is way past the penny eating age. High school deaf sped teacher here. My student had contracted a bad stomach virus in his freshman year. He started off the day perfectly fine, had no symptoms, and it suddenly hits him. He suddenly asked if he could go to the bathroom, and I could see on his face that something was wrong, so I let him go. He came back almost 30 minutes later in tears because he'd lost complete control of his bowels on the way to the bathroom, in front of an entire lunch crowd. Thankfully his dad was less than 10 minutes away to help with a clean change of clothes. I happened to keep baby wipes in stock and gave him a full pack to clean himself in a teacher's bathroom, where I brought him when he'd finally come back so he'd have privacy to clean himself with dad's help. It was awful and I felt so bad for him. Poor kid! ! I had a classmate once that was hit all of a sudden as well. She took off running for the bathroom. Apparently a teacher started yelling at her for running, and my classmate actually stopped to try to tell the teacher why she was running and puked all over the hallway. Just today I had to phone parents because their child refuses to use the toilet at school, and today, during recess, this kid pulled his snow pants down and proceeded to take the fattest shit on the snow-covered playground. I'll never forget today. Not a teacher, but my teacher in grade 5 had to call my classmate's mom because he got stuck on the toilet. How? Happened to a classmate of mine when we were in our first year of proper school. She was too small and the toilet too big and she just couldn't get out. After that I remember seeing one of those baby toilet seats that you can place beneath the regular seat which holds it in place. One of the first graders was so constipated he was screaming and crying uncontrollably, pacing with his pants around his ankles in the bathroom. It started almost immediately after drop-off, so we called the mother maybe 15 minutes after she left. She did not pick up or return any calls until 5 hours later, because she was shopping. A little girl had a masturbation problem. As in, she was rubbing herself on everything, constantly, to the point that it was a serious issue. At the point, I had never dealt with anything like that, so I was mind-boggled. I know even babies touch themselves, but I'd never witnessed it, and seeing that behavior in such a young girl made me so uncomfortable because I was hoping desperately that she hadn't learned it in a horrible situation. Not a teacher, but I used to do presentations in high schools with women in STEM. It wasn't uncommon to meet young ladies who were interested in the field, but didn't have anyone personally to give them guidance. So I'd hand out business cards, occasionally mentor people, and give them advice on projects. One gal took me up on the offer and we kept in contact. She sent me some drawings and wiring diagrams to look at. One evening she emailed me a picture of something she was building. Quite clearly in the background of the picture was her in her underwear reflected in a mirror. I emailed her back alerting her to her mistake and telling her to be extremely careful as it's hard enough for a woman to be taken seriously in the field the way it is. Received another image shortly that was much more explicit and included a letter detailing how I couldn't deny our chemical attraction. I immediately cut off contact with her, blocked her number. She created some alternate email accounts and kept trying to contact me. Got to the point where she was calling my office and asking for me. So I let my boss know what was up, and I decided to call her parents. So I straight up outed this poor girl to her parents, who didn't believe me at first. After talking to their daughter, they called and apologized and said it was taken care of. That's the last I ever heard from her. I looked her up a bit ago and it looks like she's a ME with a girlfriend, so she seems to be doing all right. Not a teacher but a kid in my class started bragging about how he had 2 moms and everyone else sucked because they only had one. He opened himself up to double the yo mama jokes. Yo mama so fat she counts as 2 people. Not a teacher but someone was caught watching porn on his school computer and his parents had to come pick him up. After he came back he told us what happened and what his parents did as a punishment, and he told us that they just laughed at him because nothing is more embarrassing than that. My teacher had to call and apologize to my mom after she told me she wouldn't let me go to the nurse because I was always asking. So I threw up on her desk in front of the whole class. Power move. Would be more if she had to clean it up. My parents were called when I was in 8th grade because I would only talk in third person. It went on for like 5 weeks. I had to explain to a parent that although Family Guy is a cartoon, it was not appropriate for an 11-year-old. He was quoting the pervy old character to other kids in his art lesson and creeping them out. Family Guy. Lol what? Yep, Family Guy. The other 11-year-olds were totally weirded out by what he was coming out with, but I used to watch it years ago, so recognized enough to ask him and work it out. I was dreading calling his mum about it, but luckily for me I didn't have time before the weekend, and in the meantime she had overheard some of it and realized it wasn't age appropriate. She'd just seen a cartoon and assumed. So it was as an embarrassing phone call as it could have been. Not a teacher, but a parent. My 5-year-old kindergartner decided to drop his pants and show his friends his crank, the second week of class. That was a fun call to get from the wife, who had just gotten off the phone with the principal. Of course, me being a dad, I started laughing, and wife was mad lol. We had a talk with him and he understood the reason he got in trouble. 5-year-old or something. My son's teacher pulled me aside today at pickup to let me know that my kid was playing doctor with his classmates this afternoon. I was thinking it involved something like your son's story, but nope. He was vaccinating other students. With thumbtacks. Tetanus shots for everyone. Used to be a teacher, first semester rookie year I saw 3 of my high school students huddled uncomfortably close. I wandered over to see what the suspicious activity was. When asked what they were doing, one of them responded with watching porn. I must have gotten a quit your bullshit look on my face because one of them turned the phone to me and yup. There was a set of tits and eventually a very small naked woman who looked quite good for being confined to a 1-inch Nokia screen. I called my boss to ask her to come get a cell phone some boys were using in class. She'd been teaching for at least 20 years and was currently an assistant principal, as she'd have much easier time dealing with the situation than a rookie teacher still wet behind the ears. That was a little embarrassing in an I can't believe I have to do this kind of way. I had a special needs student included in my class. He was 13, very sweet, and very low, cognitively. He came to me and asked to see the nurse. I asked what was wrong so I could fill out the pass. My wiener hurts. It's pointing down but wants to point up. I sent him for a drink of water instead of the nurse. He came back a few minutes later, much relieved. The water fixed it. I called Dad, and we had a chuckle. Dad promised to give him as much of the talk his son could handle. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more Reddit stories like this.